Hello, I'm Raymond and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. Malaysia, Indonesia looking to cap maid hiring fees between 10,000 ringgit and 15,000 ringgit. And doctor nabbed for issuing fake vaccination certificates. Good morning. Terengganu police have arrested a doctor from a private clinic suspected of issuing fake COVID-19 vaccination certificates. State Police Chief Dato' Rohaimi Mat Isa said a 51-year-old man was picked up on Saturday at his clinic in Marang following a tip-off on the sale of the fake vaccine certificates to anti-vaxxers. Dato' Rohaimi said preliminary investigations revealed that a total of 1,900 individuals were found to be dealing with the clinic for vaccination purposes. It is understood that those who want to acquire the fake certificates need to pay between 400 ringgit and 600 ringgit compared to the actual price of 300 ringgit for the shot.
Dia mendapat maklumat bahawa doktor ini menjalankan kegiatan tidak menyuntik tapi mengeluarkan sijil. Jadi mereka sanggup datang. Malah kalau kita tengok dokumen tersebut, ada terdapat daripada Kedah, daripada Kuala Lumpur yang tidak logik. Sampai dekat 2,000 orang datang ke Terengganu, semata-mata hendak mendapatkan suntikan di sebuah klinik di Marang.
Dato' Rohaimi added that the suspect was also believed to have used an agent who was given a commission of 50 ringgit to promote his services, and that the case was being investigated under Section 420 of the Penal Code for cheating. Police said they will also examine a laptop that was confiscated from the clinic, as it was understood that most customers dealt with the doctor online. At the same press conference, State Health Department Director Dr. Kasimani Embong said the private clinic was allowed to provide COVID-19 vaccinations for a fee since September last year. It was found that the clinic had applied to be used as a vaccination centre, but the application had not been approved. Meanwhile, the Terengganu government will be monitoring and taking action against state civil servants involved in obtaining the fake COVID-19 vaccine certificates. State Local Government Housing, Health and Environment Committee Chairman Dr. Alias Razak said the state government looks at the issue of fake vaccination certificates seriously, as it involved the safety and health of the people.
Laporan dari pihak polis, siasatan buat JKNT, kita akan arahkan jabat-jabat kerja memantau golongan-golongan yang utamanya mereka ni anti vaksin satu hal, yang keduanya dibeli pula sijil vaksin yang palsu. Ini suatu kesalahan yang agak serius dan perkara ini akan dipantau oleh jabatan-jabatan yang berkenaan untuk memastikan perkara ini tidak berulang, dan yang penting nak jaga keselamatan, kesihatan dan nyawa rakyat seluruh.
Dr. Alias added that the state government will leave it to the police and the health ministry to monitor and identify if there were more medical practitioners in the state who were involved in the production of fake COVID-19 vaccine certificates. In the meantime, the health ministry has stressed that no expired vaccines were supplied to COVID-19 vaccination centres or vaccine storage centres, and that it is continuously monitoring COVID-19 vaccine supply and their expiry dates, which are received by the centres using the Vaccine Management System, or VMS. In a statement, the Ministry's Senior Director of Pharmaceutical Services, Nurhaliza A. Halim, said the VMS was an addition to the existing inventory system at facilities where the COVID-19 National Immunization Program was being conducted. She said that checks have verified that no expired vaccine stock was supplied to the vaccination centres or vaccine storage centres. The statement issued on Monday was in response to posts and videos that have gone viral on social media recently, all claiming that expired COVID-19 vaccines were administered to recipients. She added that it was difficult to probe some of the allegations owing to the lack of details, such as dates, locations, and details of the vaccines involved. On the lifespan of the vaccines, she said this is based on stabilization tests carried out by vaccine manufacturers in real time to ensure that their vaccines are stored under the appropriate temperatures. A memorandum of understanding on the recruitment of Indonesian domestic workers in Malaysia is expected to be signed in February, with a capped fee to be paid by employers. Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan said a tentative date for the signing is February 7th or 8th, adding that the ceremony will be held in Indonesia at a location to be confirmed. Datuk Sri Saravanan said the negotiations between Malaysia and Indonesia were, among others, to control the cost of bringing in the domestic helpers to between 10,000 ringgit and 15,000 ringgit, including the quarantine costs and levies. He also denied that the cost of bringing the domestic helpers would reach 25,000 ringgit due to quarantine costs and higher airfares, as reported by the media, which cited maid agencies as saying that the recruitment fee was between 16,000 ringgit and 20,000 ringgit before the COVID-19 pandemic. Commenting on Immigration Director General Datuk Sri Khairul Zaimi Daud on the payment of 1,136 ringgit for the recruitment of each foreign domestic helper for the first time, Datuk Sri Saravanan explained that the amount only involved immigration costs. He said the Indonesian government has also asked Malaysia to stop hiring its citizens who come to the country as tourists but are later hired as maids, a matter which he says will first need to be discussed with the Home Minister ahead of the MOU signing. The federal government has pledged its commitment to expedite house rebuilding and restoration works for those whose residences were damaged in the massive floods. Housing and Local Government Minister Datuk Sri Rizal Merican Naina Merican said data obtained by his ministry showed a total of 8,257 applications, consisting of 118 for rebuilding and 81,139 for restoring, were eligible for the initiative now called Rumah Kasih Keluarga Malaysia. In a joint media conference with Rural Development Minister Datuk Sri Madzir Khalid on Monday, Datuk Sri Rizal said restoration work would take up to 2 weeks, while rebuilding would take between 4 and 5 months.
Untuk pembaikan, ia berada di sekitar 5 hingga 15,000. Manakala untuk bina baru, nilai asas adalah 56,000. Pembinaan ini akan berlaku pada 2 kawasan. Satu kawasan yang berada di kampung-kampung, di kawasan orang asli, di kawasan luar bandar yang tentu sekali berada di bawah kawasliaan KPLB. Keduanya, kawasan-kawasan yang berada di bawah PBT.
The pledge from both ministers on Monday follows the initial fund of 100 million ringgit to repair houses and infrastructure damaged in the massive floods following torrential rains across the country last month, announced by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on December 19th. Datuk Sri Rizal said the first phase of the initiative involved data gathering on the district level, followed by data syncing on the state level, which will then be compiled by the Implementation Coordination Unit, ICU, under the Prime Minister's department. Subsequent to that, a data verification process will take place involving agencies under both ministries before the work could actually take place. According to Datuk Sri Rizal, the initiative will be spearheaded by Syarikat Perumahan Negara Berhad (SPNB) for rebuilding and Perbadanan Prima Malaysia or PRIMA for restoration work. As for rural residences and those outside of the local government's jurisdiction, the effort will be spearheaded by agencies under the Rural Development Ministry. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Madzir said an early estimate showed some 50 million ringgit is needed for the rebuilding and restoration process under his ministry.
Setakat ini kita telah menerima lebih kurang 1,879 untuk baik pulih di kawasan banjir di seluruh negara, dan untuk bina baru 165 yang setakat ini yang kita terima.
Under the initiative, the government will rebuild a 660-square-foot single-story house that comes with 3 bedrooms and 2 washrooms. The list of schools that have yet to resume physical class sessions due to the flood situation will be updated every Wednesday to enable the schools involved to start operations for the next week if they are ready. Senior Education Minister Dato' Razzie Jidin said that once a school is removed from the list, they can reopen on the first school day of the following week.
Namun pada masa yang sama, keadaan situasi banjir ini amat dinamik. Tiba-tiba sebelum ini sekolah tu boleh dibuka, tapi tiba-tiba air naik. Itu secara automatik, maknanya kalau air dah memenuhi kawasan sekolah tak dapat hadir, maka sekolah ini akan dimasukkan dalam senarai tersebut, tapi tindakan awal akan diambil untuk maklumkan kepada ibu bapa.
He said this to reporters after visiting Sekolah Kebangsaan Meru in Kapar, Klang on Monday, in conjunction with the reopening of schools in Selangor for the third term session for 2021 to 2022. Schools in states where Sunday is the first working day of the week come under Group A, while Group B involves states where Sunday is a rest day. He said 4 million primary and secondary school students nationwide began the session involving 1.2 million students from Group A and 2.8 million students in Category B. Following his visit to SK Meru, one of the recent flood-affected schools, Dato' Razzie said he had asked the State Education Department and District Education Office to look into the needs of any of the affected facilities to ensure they have adequate furniture and equipment. Pahang's popular tourist spot, Janda Baik, is expected to suffer losses amounting to about 12 million ringgit, as some of its locations are unable to operate for 4 months following the recent devastating floods that hit these areas. State Tourism, Environment, Culture, Plantations and Commodities Committee Chairman, Dato' Sri Muhammad Shakar Shamsuddin, said among the areas most badly affected by the floods on December 18th was Pulau Santap, a major recreation spot in Janda Baik. Dato' Sri Muhammad Shakar said 33 of the 54 resorts and chalets in Janda Baik were destroyed, with the costs to be incurred estimated at between 157,500 ringgit and 6 million ringgit for each affected resort or chalet. The state government is also asking for consideration to be given to the tourism operators who wish to obtain a flexible loan facility to repair or rebuild their resorts or chalets the soonest possible.
Saya nak memohon kepada kerajaan pusat agar dapat memberikan peruntukan khaslah untuk mereka membina semula infrastruktur ataupun infrastruktur yang ada ni, iaitu jalan, jambatan.
Dato' Sri Muhammad Shakar said this at a news conference after viewing the destruction around Pulau Santap caused by the recent floods. Also present was Tourism Pahang General Manager Kamaruddin Ibrahim. He added that about 300 workers are affected by the temporary closure of the resorts and chalets in Pulau Santap. Also affected are the other economic activities that depend on tourism, such as the food business, all-terrain vehicle ATV rental, and horse riding. The government is serious in tackling the issue of the depleting Malayan tiger population, as there are now fewer than 150 of the iconic felines in the country's forests. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said if immediate action was not taken, Malaysia faced the risk of seeing the Malayan tiger, known by its scientific name Panthera tigris jacksoni, going extinct. Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri said the dwindling Harimau Malaya population was due to loss of habitat and food sources, resulting from land use changes, hunting and illegal trade in animals, as well as the spread of the canine distemper virus. He also said efforts already undertaken to protect the Malayan tiger included amendments to the Wildlife Conservation Act, which were passed by Parliament on December 21st last year to provide more effective enforcement of wildlife conservation laws. He said this after chairing the first meeting of the National Tiger Conservation Task Force, MyTTF, on Monday. The meeting was attended by Negeri Sembilan Chief Minister Datuk Sri Aminuddin Harun, Pahang Chief Minister Datuk Sri Wan Rosdi Wan Ismail, Selangor Chief Minister Datuk Sri Amiruddin Shari, and State Executive Council members representing the Chief Ministers of Kelantan, Terengganu, Johor, Kedah and Perak. The Malayan tiger is a symbol of the coat of arms of Malaysia and features in the crest of states, government ministries, departments and agencies. Still to come on Nightline, 3 killed as car crashes into road divider in Sabah. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Nightline. In Sabah, 3 men were killed when their car crashed into the road divider along Jalan Lintas Sibuga in Sandakan. Sabah Fire and Rescue Department Operations Chief Misran Bisara said the 3 were travelling together when the driver was believed to have lost control of the car at about 10 a.m. on Monday. He said according to witnesses, the car swerved into the road divider and passers-by who saw the accident stopped to check on the condition of the occupants. Misran said they managed to get 2 of the occupants out of the wrecked car and sent them to the hospital. He said another victim was trapped inside the car and firemen had to cut open the vehicle to get him out. The victims' bodies were sent to the Duchess of Kent Hospital for post-mortem. The defence in the trial of Datin Sri Rosmah Mansor involving a solar project in Sarawak has decided not to call her husband, former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak, to testify as the 3rd defence witness. Datin Sri Rosmah's counsel, Datuk Jagjit Singh, told the Kuala Lumpur High Court that the defence would not be calling Datuk Sri Najib, who was supposedly scheduled to give the evidence on Monday. Datuk Jagjit said after a brainstorming session on Saturday to the late hours on Sunday evening, the defence has elected not to call Datuk Sri Najib as the 3rd defence witness. Senior Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Sri Gopal Sri Ram said the decision to call or not to call a witness lies with the defence. Datuk Jagjit then applied for the court to vacate the hearing on Monday and also for this week because the 2nd defence witness, who is also Datuk Sri Najib's former special officer, Datuk Sri Siti Aziza Sheikh Abod, is currently performing the Umrah pilgrimage in Mecca and would only be available on February 4th. A company managing director and an engineer who were detained by the Johor Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, over false claims involving a temporary bridge construction project in Segamat on Sunday have been remanded for 6 days, beginning Monday. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Nur Madiana Mamat at the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court. Both men, aged 41 and 52, were arrested at the Johor Bahru MACC office after appearing to give statements at 7 p.m. a day prior. The 2 individuals were detained to assist in the investigation on suspicion of submitting false claims worth more than 250,000 ringgit for the project 6 years ago. According to a source, between 2016 and 2020, the two men had conspired in submitting false claims to a government department in the Segamat district for a temporary bridge construction project worth more than 4 million ringgit. However, the works mentioned in the claims had not been implemented. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA) has detained 5 fishermen, including a Thai national, for using illegal traps to catch sea snails. The fishermen were detained together with their boat some 2.6 nautical miles west of Kuala Kedah estuary at about 6:50 p.m. on Sunday. Kuala Kedah Zone MMEA Director Commander Noor Aryayanti Ishak said an inspection on the boat found the fishermen were using the outlawed fishing method, adding that the type of trap used would affect the ecosystem as it is not selective and all marine life, regardless of size, would be caught. The fishermen, aged between 41 and 46, were found to have violated their licenses under the Fisheries Act for possessing the illegal fishing equipment, while the Thai national was also found to have committed an offence under the Immigration Act for not having valid travel documents. The skipper, his crew and their boat were brought to Kuala Kedah Maritime Jetty for further investigation. Novak Djokovic wins court case against Australian visa cancellation. This and more when Nightline returns. Welcome back to Nightline. A court in Myanmar has sentenced ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi to 4 more years in prison in the latest of a series of trials. She was convicted for the illegal possession and import of walkie-talkies and breaking COVID-19 rules. It is believed that Monday's charges stem from when soldiers searched her house on the day of the coup by forces led by General Min Aung Hlaing, when they said they discovered the devices. The latest sentence will bring her total prison term to 6 years. Last month, the Nobel laureate was found guilty of incitement of dissent and breaking COVID-19 rules and given a reduced jail sentence of 2 years. She has been detained since a military coup last February and faces about a dozen charges, all of which she denies. The Philippines on Monday reported a record high number of new COVID-19 cases for the 3rd day, logging 33,169 infections. The positivity rate or percentage of tested people whose results came out positive also soared to 46%, another record high since the pandemic started 2 years ago. Monday's tally brings the Philippines' total infection count nearer to almost 3 million, with the death toll standing at 52,293. Despite that, officials said on Monday that there is still no need to raise the alert to the 4th level of the 5-step alert system. The capital region Metro Manila and several provinces and cities are under alert level 3 until January 15th. World tennis number 1 Novak Djokovic won a shock victory in his bid to remain in Australia Monday after an Australian court ordered his immediate release from an immigration detention hotel where he was held since Thursday. Federal Court Judge Anthony Kelly abruptly ended days of legal wrangling after the state dropped its decision to revoke the Serbian's visa. The main reason for the concession was that Djokovic was not given enough time to seek advice and respond to the intention to cancel the visa when he was detained at Melbourne Airport. However, a government lawyer warned that Immigration Minister Alex Hawke could still cancel his visa on new grounds, which would result in him being banned for 3 years. Sports football, the English FA Cup Championship side Nottingham Forest repeated their 2018 FA Cup upset as they beat Arsenal 1-0 in their third-round clash, thanks to a late strike from skipper Lewis Grabban. The first half was a truly drab affair between the two sides, with Arsenal notably sloppy in possession and static in their movement, while Forest's final pass was repeatedly rushed when they broke forward. Forest were clearly the better side in the second half, and the deadlock was finally broken 7 minutes from time when Grabban slid home Ryan Yates' inviting cross to shock the 14-time winners. Mikel Arteta's men then pushed on for the equaliser, but the hosts, however, kept it tight at the back to seal the victory. The win set them up for a fourth-round clash with current FA Cup holders Leicester City. In another match, Manuel Lanzini and Jared Bowen fired West Ham to a 2-0 win over Leeds United as they marched into the fourth round. The opening goal arrived in the 34th minute when Lanzini fired the ball home following a scramble in front of the goal mouth. Bielsa's men then pushed on for the leveller in the dying embers of the game, but the Hammers eventually sealed the win as Antonio whipped a pass through to Bowen, who finished with a first-timer under the on-rushing Meslier for a 2-0 final scoreline. They will next face Kidderminster in the fourth round. Over in United Kingdom, a huge sinkhole has appeared at a coastal beauty spot, revealing a hidden underground beach. The natural phenomenon called Suter Hole first appeared as a small sinkhole in 2003, but it has grown every year since. The hole is now so big, a hidden beach has been revealed, with the sea forcing its way through a crack in one of the cliff walls. Let's take a look at this together. With that, I'm Raymond. Thank you for your company and make sure you stay safe.